Yo, what's up, my dear esteemed guests and my beautiful subscribers? It is, of course, one and only Sugi Shogun here, returning after a bit of a hiatus, and I got a lot of backlog to work on, so hopefully I can start dropping these reviews on a more frequent basis. But today I want to talk about relatively recent anime that came out on Netflix called Hammer Bucky, Son of Ogre, and this is the third part of the Baki series on Netflix, and technically the fourth because the first series is the Grappler Baki, which goes pretty much a lot of the earlier arcs of the anime, which is not, by the way, on Netflix. And then you have the Deadly Prisoner arc, and then you have the China arc, and now you have the Hammer Bucky arc, which is focusing on the, long-awaited fight between Baki and Yujiro, his father. And this is presumably part 1, which consists of 12 episodes, and I presume we're going to be getting the part 2 soon, which is going to be the conclusion of the Hammer Bucky series. So all of the mangas obviously have their own names, and the story actually does continue after this arc as well, but I'm not 100% sure will they continue adapting that material, because this is some type of a pinnacle of the story in a lot of ways, like this ultimate build-up, that absolute duel, which got all of that background detail in, on the first initial season known as the Grappler Baki, which came out like back in 2001 or something. And we actually see one of those flashbacks in this season, what actually went down there in his childhood, which kind of gives you a bit of understanding why Baki is not exactly that fond of his father. And this, as I said, is 12 episodes, and it's a more of the part that is about build-up, okay? You see a bit of Yujiro getting the updates, what Baki is doing around the world and stuff like that. You just have this sort of a, build-up for the big match, okay? And then Baki is actually going into America, and he's going to be going into the prison where Mr. Unchained, Biscuit Oliva, is actually residing, and then he gets to fight a bunch of people there. A lot of interesting fights overall. It's not exactly maybe on the level as we saw in the Chinese arc or the Deadly Prisoner thing, or the I don't remember the name of the second arc, but this was overall like pretty enjoyable, but I saw it as more of a build-up. For example, we didn't see the Buggy's girlfriend at all in this season, so she was kind of sidelined here, and this is mostly just Bucky training more, and you have all those kid character, which is kind of part of observing Bucky's training in the beginning and becoming like a Bucky Junior of sorts, I guess. Well, not exactly, but it's kind of like, it's just sort of an interesting perspective. And then there's this whole shadow fighting or shadow boxing, so to speak, which is it's one of the most ridiculous aspects of everything, in my opinion, of the series so far. But then again, like, okay, I can like believe it. Sometimes you have to take bits of freedoms about these things and make unbelievable stuff. And in terms of the OST, it's pretty much the same tracks as the previous ones. The opening theme is by Grand Rodeo, known as Treasure, Pleasure, and the ending theme is by Exiled Tribe, known as the Unchained World. I wasn't particularly fond of these intros or ending themes. They were okay. I think the first opening theme of the very first Baki series was really good. That's how I remember it. It's been already such a long time since that aired, when you think about it. But I think the next part is going to be the best part, about not necessarily all of the parts that we've seen, but better than this part. Not to say this was bad, just to say that this was the build-up part, which in itself, it was kind of dumb to break it down into two parts, because this is like a big MMA match, and you want to like hype it up, and the season does a bit of that, and probably going to be seeing a bit more hype in the second part, and we get to also explore a bit about the Hanma family. You know, there's a bit of a cliffhanger in the end, a sort of interesting mythological aspect which might get explored more, which I'm interested about. There's a lot of these info spots, infomercials in the series talking about like the animals and what they can do, and all this random information, and I love that parts about the anime when they just like info dump all of these things. But hey, overall I think Hammer Bucky is in the same quality in terms of its animation compared to other ones. In the earlier seasons in Netflix, I think they used a bit of 3D. I don't remember seeing any of that in this season. So this was purely 2D, at least from my perspective as I saw it. And I definitely everybody to start watching the series. I think it's one of the better fighting shows. Kengan Ashura, it's not half bad either. The benefit of that obviously is that everything is on Netflix and there's not like a prequel which you have to like torrent or watch on another platform basically. But I'm not gonna drag this review any longer. You can find obviously my reviews on the older channel for the earlier parts, in case you want to look them through and see my opinions about them. But I will be seeing you guys on the next video, and definitely gonna be reviewing the part 2, and other reviews are also obviously coming out hopefully very shortly. Thanks for watching. See you soon.